That Tuesday morning was like any other in my humdrum high school life. The clock on the classroom wall seemed frozen, each tick mocking my restlessness. Mr. Henderson droned on about the Civil War, but my mind was 1,000 miles away, plotting an escape from the stifling boredom. Glancing around, I noticed the usual. Jenny scribbling in her notebook, probably another love letter to her crush. Mark, the class jock, looking like he'd rather be anywhere but here. I felt a kinship with him at that moment. Without much thought, a reckless idea took root in my mind. The third-floor bathroom, a relic hardly ever used, whispered about for its disrepair and eerie quiet, perfect for a hideout. I'd heard stories, the kind that make you chuckle and roll your eyes, but today it beckoned me like a forbidden sanctuary. I raised my hand, feigning a grimace. Mr. Henderson, barely glancing up from his notes, waved me off. The moment I stepped into the hallway, a sense of liberation washed over me. The halls were deserted, the eerie silence a stark contrast to the usual cacophony. As I ascended the stairs to the third floor, each step felt like a small victory against the mundane. The bathroom door creaked as I pushed it open, a sound that seemed too loud in the quiet. The air was stale, the light flickering and dim. Choosing the farthest stall, I locked it and perched on the toilet seat. My feet pulled up. I chuckled to myself, a conqueror in my newfound kingdom of isolation. Minutes turned into what felt like hours. I pulled out my phone, scrolling mindlessly, the outside world reduced to pixels and memes. It was then, amidst the silence, that the P system crackled to life, jolting me from my digital stupor. Attention students and staff. The voice was terse, urgent. We are now in lockdown. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. A chill ran down my spine, the words echoing in the confined space. Lockdown. My heart raced, but my mind rationalized. It had to be a precaution, nothing more. Maybe a drill they hadn't warned us about. Yet the gravity in the voice on the PA system suggested otherwise. As I sat there, the gravity of my situation began to dawn on me. I was alone, hidden, in a place no one would think to look. A shiver of fear mingled with a bizarre sense of thrill. The dull world outside that stall door had transformed into something unknown. Something. But little did I know, the real danger was much closer than I could have ever imagined. My heart pounded in my chest, a rapid drumbeat echoing in the confines of the bathroom stall. The P system's words hung heavy in the air. This is not a drill. The phrase looped in my mind, a mantra of growing dread. I had expected boredom, a brief respite from the monotony of class, not a lockdown with me, trapped in a forgotten corner of the school. I held my breath, straining my ears for any sound that might clue me in on what was happening outside. But all I heard was an oppressive silence, broken only by the faint, distant hum of the school's air conditioning. It was as if the building itself had gone into hibernation, a concrete giant holding its breath. Minutes trickled by, and I found myself fighting the urge to unlock the stall door and peek outside. But fear rooted me in place. Fear of the unknown, fear of what might be lurking in the hallways of my usually uneventful high school. Then, a sound shattered the silence. A soft, almost imperceptible shuffle from the stall next to mine. My heart skipped a beat. Had someone been there all along? Or had they just arrived? I couldn't tell. All I knew was that I wasn't alone. I pressed my back against the cold stall wall, trying to make myself as small as possible. Every rational thought told me it could be another student, another soul seeking refuge. But the chilling possibility of it being someone, or something, else crept into my thoughts. The shuffle turned into a quiet, dragging sound, like the weight of a foot being slowly moved. I imagined a shadowy figure, hunched and waiting, just feet away from me. My mind raced with horror stories I'd laughed off in the past, Stories of intruders and lunatics lurking in the most ordinary of places. I clutched my phone, contemplating whether to call for help or stay silent. But what if making a call drew attention? What if the person in the next stall was dangerous? The weight of my decision was paralyzing. As I sat there, frozen in a cocktail of fear and indecision, I realized that the true horror wasn't just the possibility of a threat outside the stall. It was the gnawing uncertainty, the helplessness of not knowing, the silent terror that grew with each passing second. And it was in that suffocating quiet, in the heart of my fear, that I understood something had gone terribly wrong. This was no drill. This was real, and I was in the eye of the storm. Hidden yet exposed, safe yet incredibly vulnerable. Time crawled in the suffocating stillness of the bathroom. The eerie silence was a thick veil, masking the chaos that I imagined was unfolding outside. My cramped refuge felt more like a prison now, the walls closing in with every passing second. The murmurs of distant voices and the occasional sound of hurried footsteps started to penetrate the silence. I strained to make sense of the muffled words, to piece together the situation unraveling beyond my hideout. Were they police, teachers, or something worse? Then a sudden commotion erupted, a cacophony of running feet and shouted orders. It was so close yet unintelligible, like a nightmare spoken in a foreign language. My heart raced as I envisioned armed officers storming the hallways, searching for an unseen threat. In the stall next to me, there was a shift, a stifled sound that spoke volumes in the quiet. It was a reminder that I wasn't alone, that the unknown occupant was still there, just inches of painted metal separating us. The realization sent a shiver down my spine. The simultaneous fear of discovery and desire for rescue battled within me. I wanted to scream, to alert someone of my presence, but the fear of attracting the wrong kind of attention kept me silent. I felt like a mouse hiding from a prowling cat, where the slightest sound could be my undoing. Amidst the external chaos, my mind raced. Who was in the next stall? A student, a teacher, or the very reason for the lockdown? The thought was chilling. I was sharing my hiding spot with a potential menace, an unseen stranger whose intentions were unknown. The voices and footsteps outside grew fainter, moving away, leaving me once again in an unnerving silence. It was a temporary reprieve, a moment to catch my breath, but the tension never left. It clung to me like a second skin, a constant reminder of the precariousness of my situation. As I sat there, cramped and scared, I realized that my story could end in this forgotten bathroom, an unremarkable footnote in a day marked by terror. Or maybe, just maybe, I would walk out of here, a survivor scarred by an experience too close, too real. But the story wasn't over yet. The unknown threat next to me, the unseen menace, remained. And as the lockdown dragged on, the line between safety and danger blurred, leaving me in a limbo of fear and uncertainty. The silence was shattered by the sound of the bathroom door being pushed open with force. My heart stopped. Footsteps echoed on the tile floor, each step a thunderous sound in my heightened state of alertness. I braced myself, ready for the worst. But then, a voice, authoritative and clear, pierced the air. "Clear," it called out. Another voice responded, "All clear here too." Relief flooded through me, but it was tinged with a wariness born of hours in fear. Cautiously, I unlocked the stall door and stepped out. My legs felt like jelly, barely able to support me. The bathroom was empty, except for the open window in the corner, with the curtain fluttering like a silent witness to an unseen escape. As I stood there, trying to process, officers entered. The look of surprise on their faces at seeing me was almost comical under different circumstances. They asked me questions, their words a blur as I tried to wrap my mind around what had just happened. It turned out the intruder had escaped through that small window, mere feet from where I had been hiding. This revelation sent a shiver down my spine. The threat had been so close, yet remained unseen, a ghostly presence that haunted the edges of my consciousness. In the days that followed, I became an unintentional focal point in the investigation and the media. My account of the events, my proximity to the intruder, made me a person of interest, a witness with a story to tell. But as I recounted my tale, I felt detached, as if talking about someone else's experience. The reality of it all seemed like a distant nightmare, one that I could recount but not fully grasp as my own. The intruder was never found. Their identity, a mystery that gnawed at the edges of my mind. Questions lingered in the air, unanswerable and haunting. Who were they? What had driven them to my school, to that bathroom? As life returned to its semblance of normalcy, I found myself changed. The halls of the school felt different. The echoes of laughter and chatter now overlaid with an undercurrent of something darker. I was a survivor. Yes, but survival came with its own shadows, ones that followed me in quiet moments, in the solitude that I once sought. The lockdown was over, but the sense of being trapped lingered, a psychological aftermath of the terror I had faced. The story of that day became a part of me, an open-ended chapter in the book of my life. The fear, the relief, the unresolved mystery. They melded into a haunting melody that played on, a reminder of the day when the mundane turned into a silent terror,